calling you a radical. So BLANCHTRADAMUS, there was a man who came in the year of 1960. BLANCHTRADAMUS. So 10 years ago today, I was in the bone marrow transplant at the top of LDS East 8, dying. I was in bad shape. Third round of chemo. Wasn't working. I was in really bad shape. Everybody gathered around the windows on the 26th of February. Did a prayer seance for me. And I kept saying, play back the tape, Your Honor. That is, if there is one. I got to get out to the jetty. I got to get out to the jetty. How about that Big Sky football player in the Super Bowl? Whoa. So, got to get out to the jetty. This is important because it's being reported all over, the worst drought since the year of 800. That's 2010, 2011 right here. Right here in Snow, Utah. Ogden, Utah. That's me shoveling snow. We had one of the biggest snows and winters in the history of the state, the winter of 2010, 2011. Of course, I got cancer that year. The great coincidence decade. Don't mention the F word. All coincidence. So I've always known, as the ecologist, there's twofold, growing up in the western United States on the landscape. For Hamlet and Cassandra, they got together. They had a baby. If you don't know who Cassandra is, you need to look it up. Because I am the son, I'm the heir to Cassandra. For I could see the future, always could, my whole life. And no one will believe you. That's just Greek mythology. Okay. All right. So, Blanche is just, it's just the will. It's just fire. It's just, was YouTube. So, the level of the Great Salt Lake, right behind my house. I grew up on the Great Marsh. Right here. It was incredible. It was beautiful. These guys tore it out. I mean, they drained the swamp. They drained the wetlands. And look up above at PB Point and Point Loma. You don't have to crawl down through the tide pools and just stand above with your crayons and look at the color at low tide. Low tide at PB Point, where I grew up in the slums of La Jolla, North PB, north of Farm Elementary, West Weber Elementary. West Weber Elementary with the Frank Lloyd Wright style that Leslie Hodson did, they tore down. You can see right out here. I grew up on this incredible marsh. I grew up on it. Born and raised in the greatest wetlands probably on earth. If you don't believe me, read Don Quixote. I grew up on them both. I watched them freaking devastate them both. But this acute radical drought that's been the worst in 1,200 years, all foretold by Kevin Blanch in 2011. Play back the tape. I like all these podcasters all over. All we hear is a radio goo-goo, right? How about my podcast that I had in 2011? And then I got cancer. You see YTV on Balco on chemo. How good were those? I mean, talk about an influencer. Kevin Blanch, the influencer on chemo. Influencer on Balco. My young granddaughter told me the other day, she says, you sent me a video of me when I was a baby, and one of your popped up. Why you play a guitar with a fishing pole? And I says, well, don't you understand metaphors? And she says, oh, no, I get it. She says, I understand. Stay tuned. I get it. But the rest of the world doesn't get it. Metaphors matter. Sports metaphors matter. Big Sky player wins the, what is he, the 69th draft pick in the draft? Oh, it matters. So, all foretold, this great drought, look it up. Started in 2011. Look it up. Google it. Even there. Kevin Blanch named it. I'm the guy that named it in 2011. Playback. I named it. The Great Western United States, Canada, acute drought of 2011. I named it in 2011 before it happened. Play back the tape, Your Honor. I said the tide pools will collapse, and then I did the field work and documented it. Everybody laughed. I remember there was a science teacher, him and his wife, high school science teachers. She says, we used to laugh at you, make fun of you. So we spent the summer. We took our teenage children and we drove the entire coast, and we went to the same tide pools that you had worked up and down at low tide. And she says, oh, do we owe you an incredible apology. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for your service. I accept your apologies, but people don't know how to say they're sorry in this country. They don't know. They don't care. You know, all this work I did while in critical condition. Kevin Blanch, probably the greatest influencer maybe in history, on chemo, on Balco. I remember telling Kathy Iwani, me and her got in an argument, and it was over the whole Kelly Slater dynamic. She was so paramount and shut down the seminar for us. She says, you know, I says, yeah, we worked together, we kicked down that time, but I'm going to finish the job. Somebody says, you really think you can take down the nuclear energy freaking crime? I said, oh yeah, I'm going to do it. Before Kevin reached into the bag and he slung the stone. And he struck the nuclear energy giant in the head. Read the rest of the scripture. And he fell to the earth. Before we walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Think about the body of work where